Did you know that Lego is the largest manufacturer of tires in the world? Well, obviously not the regular tire sizes, but the tiny ones for the
Really?
toys.
The teeny weeny little tires.
Yeah, exactly.
I was really worried for a second that I missed a big strategic decision when you said the biggest tire manufacturer, but now that you said it's toy tires, okay.
Yeah, they didn't
No.
diversify into tires yet. They make 300 million tires a year, Lego does.
Jeez.
And then, for example, Michelin makes 200 million tires per year. Obviously, they come in different sizes. Yeah, the Lego ones are much smaller, but still.
Have Michelin thought about, getting in on the teeny tire game? I mean, they might want to think about that. Maybe we'll tear them down one day.
Thanks, Tom, for the segue, because now you're welcome to another Business Design Teardown. It's a podcast format where we look into the darlings of the design community, so products and businesses that we designers love, because we want to find out, are they only good designs or are they good businesses too? So my name is Alen. I'm a founder of the DMBA.
I am Franz. I am the program director of the DMBA.
And I'm Tom. I'm a product designer and design strategist and DMBA's resident webinar host. More on that very shortly. You probably guessed from Franz's incredible fact that today we are tearing down the fascinating world of Lego. But before that, back to the webinar news. We're very, very excited to share that next week we'll be hosting a DMBA event, a live event called How to Measure Design and Its Impact with the wonderful, very, very excited to have him, Vitaly Friedman, co-founder of Smashing Magazine, which I don't know about both of you, has just been with me throughout my couple of decades career. Just a wonderful resource. Vitaly is just such a engaging speaker. Absolutely love what he puts out. He's going to be amazing. So we have got him doing a talk and then a bit of a fireside Q&A, which is going to be fantastic. So that is next week if you are listening to this the second week of January. So it's January the 25th, 6 p.m. Central European time, 12 noon Eastern, for what promises to be a super insightful talk, demystifying the world of design metrics. So if that sounds interesting to you, and it really should, it's going to be great, go to d.mba/webinars. All details there. Grab your free ticket. Hope to see you there. If you are a Teardown fan, when you get into the chat, let us know. We'll know who sent you.
Yeah, please drop it in the chat. Teardown and then the heart emoji.
Yes. Please do. We would love that. At least one. Please. So yes, today's Teardown. Actually, today's brand inspired me to wear this jumper. If you're watching on video, I was like, what colour jumper shall I wear today? And I've gone with the sort of yellow Lego head jumper.
But that's interesting because I also had a look at their new campus of the Lego company, and it's, the main color is yellow. And I was like, why is it yellow? Isn't the logo red and white? And there is yellow in it as well, but it's the least represented color. But in a way, it is their color, so it's weird.
It feels like it to me. Yeah, I just think of the Lego heads. Got white on underneath this. Black. No, it's not really a Lego color. Haven't got the Lego hair. Sometimes it does get a little Lego hair. My hairstyle. So sorry for letting.
What
me
is
down
Lego
there.
hair?
Yeah,
where it's kind of big and boxy.
It looks like something you
looks
put
like
on
you could take it off in one go, put it on
it's
again.
It's like a cap.
Okay, got it.
Circular cap.
I'm not going to make any comments about what Lego the other two might be on screen. But yeah, it inspired me to get the yellow jumper on today. But yes, Lego, trust me, there's going to be a few puns in this one. It's not all fun and games. There's a real business puzzle in here, which we are going to unpack today. But yes, back in 1932, a very long time ago, Lego started as a wooden toy company. Going to probably touch on that a little later in today's podcast. But fast forward to the company we know today, and it really is a sort of global creativity powerhouse. But here's the thing, it's not really just about building stuff. I guess it is practically, that is what you're doing. but more broadly, more kind of positively, it's about imagination. It's about problem solving. It's about lasting memories. I can still remember the Legos I made. Legos, damn, I did that. You're not supposed to call it Legos. The Lego, sorry, that I made when I was
What's the difference? Sorry.
Well, I was going to touch on this at some point, but a lot of people incorrectly, and I'm going to have to shame our American listeners. It's typically Americans that call it Legos rather than Lego.
Like a plural.
So one Lego, two Lego.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is it two Lego? Okay. I thought like the company is Lego, but then if I'm playing with Legos, like every... Okay, excuse me, Tom.
That's why we got you. The native
Good job
English speaker.
Good job I cut in there. You could have embarrassed yourself a bit earlier. No, it's always Lego, which is a contraction of two Danish words, which means play well. But yeah, nice and easy to remember. But it's just Lego, never Legos. So yes, and I think it's such a memorable thing to play with if you've played with it as kids. So yeah, and of course, it's not just about us building new stuff out of these blocks. Lego have built their business well beyond that plastic brick. So movies, video games,
tires,
theme parks, teeny tiny tires. The Lego world today is broad and vast. And personally, I can't wait to learn more about all those kind of twists and turns that made it that kind of monolith that it is today. But as Lego keeps on soaring, which it feels like it does, it's got some really stiff, really modern competition. iPads, video games, all sort of digital distractions out there. Traditional toys like Lego are facing some serious competition for kids' attention. And that's not the only head scratcher for them. Like many big players in the toy industry, Lego's also got an environmental dilemma on its hands. And I think striking that balance between quality and innovation while keeping this environmental footprint in check, especially now, is probably the biggest puzzle. Like building a tricky Lego castle, they've got to kind of work their way through it. So stick around. We're going to be tearing down the business puzzle that made Lego what it is now, what it faces, juggling its roots, what it stands for, the competition, and that eco-friendly challenge. That's a big one. I'm really curious to hear from you both about. So I'm going to start off with a question. Actually, two questions. Can you remember your first Lego set? And then when was the last time you made something out of Lego? I'm going to go to Franz first.
I can not remember my first Lego set, but I can remember the situation because I think my cousin had a lot of Lego and I still remember the sound of you have a box, you take it out of the closet, and then you flip it over, and then you hear the rain of Lego blocks.
Rain, I like that.
What a sound.
So yeah, I still remember that. And it wasn't something specific at the time. I remember there were some themes like pirates, but I don't remember like having, like we know it later, like a specific let's say plan of what to build, but it's more like, okay, these are 700,000 blocks and you just do something with it. So that was my first memory that I have. And the last one is actually Lego Serious Play.
Yeah. Tell us more about that. Explain what that is.
It is, I think even most of listeners know that. So it is a form of workshop facilitation that is facilitated by building Lego. I think it was developed by a university, partnering two universities, Vanderbilt and I don't know who. Sorry about that. Together with Lego, and now it's used in innovation, creativity, change management workshop in businesses. Not only positive critics, also from in my team when I used it, but it's, I would say, moderately successful.
Yeah, it's a bit of a design thinking go-to, isn't it? I have to say, I'm one of the eye rollers when people start getting their Lego out. I'm sorry, in the sort of business environment, but yeah, I mean, need to give it another shot, maybe. How about you, Alen? First Lego experience and last Lego experience?
I don't remember the first set. I don't remember having any sets, but I just remember having those piles of bricks to play with. And actually, the earliest memory of me building with Lego blocks was trying to recreate a football stadium. So just trying to build out the pitch in green color, and then trying to build out like something that looks like Old Trafford, which at the time was the only big stadium I knew. Trying to have the stands going up in height and then having some kind of roof over the stands. And I just remember feeling very proud when I finished that thing, which also means I wasn't that young when that happened. So that's the earliest memory, and the latest memory is probably yesterday. I have a 15-month baby girl, and of course Legos are already part of the curriculum. Yeah, right now it's mostly me playing and just trying to show what can be built with it instead of just throwing the bricks around. But I'm hoping to soon get into the next stage.
But it's a big version, right? Not the...
Yeah, it's a Duplo, I think, called.
Yeah. Duplo, the big boys, them chunky boys, those bricks. Harder to step on.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm trying to think. My first Lego experience sounds very similar to Franz. I think my cousin gave me like this bucket of Lego, no plans, no instructions, and I just used to mess around making things. I do remember having an obsession with making things I could stand on. I was very much about testing the structural integrity of my buildings. So quite chaotic. I imagine my parents were delighted at that as a pursuit. I can't really remember the last time I made something out of Lego. I have to confess, I'm not one of these people that has kind of got into Lego as an adult. There's also something about the fact that I'm sure the Lego stands will come after me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like everything now, it has all these little custom bricks and you're always making something to a plan. I'm sure you can get more creative with it, but there's something about that doesn't quite appeal to me so much. But I'm sure I've done it a few times in workshops and things like that. But yeah, who knows? I might become a mature brick lover at some point. So
brick lover. Lego brick lover.
Oh, dear. So let's rewind. I mean, it feels like we don't really need to explain what it is. I'd assume most people have heard of Lego, but at its core, Lego is really about more than just colourful bricks. It's this sort of medium for sparking imagination, fostering problem-solving skills, and creating those memorable experiences. And it's become a sort of symbol of timeless play that transcends generations. So it's something that I have friends who have kids and they absolutely adore building stuff with their children. I think that's wonderful, right? That you can both enjoy that, you can bond over it. And yeah, plenty of big kids out there who enjoy making stuff with Lego, which is fantastic. And I think the value proposition of Lego really lies in its ability to provide these endless opportunities for learning and fun. And it comes in so many flavors now, some more kind of technologically advanced, kind of in more robotics area. And then at the other end, obviously, you got the kind of real basic blocks of Duplo, but there's something for everyone there and lots of opportunities to experiment and learn. I do remember playing
Did you know that out of 2.4 Lego blocks, so you have 6 of those like most basic Lego blocks, which have 2 dots in one size and then 4 dots in another. You can make 915 million different combinations.
Wow.
From what?
From 6 Lego bricks. Which is crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought about that. Now you've blown my mind again. The little tires, now this. It's all too much.
You can already see that Alen is our numbers guy.
Yeah. Well, who'd have thought that he would be looking into that kind of stuff. So
looking forward to that.
Yes, yeah. So is it like you're a child who's like discovering the joy of building something for the first time, or a parent like Alen, enjoying that process of learning with a kid, or an adult enjoying a kind of creative outlet that very often we kind of need to embrace a bit more as adults. Lego does seem to have something for everyone. It's a world where you can kind of be an architect, a storyteller, an engineer, and to kind of borrow from their branding, they say that the only limit is your imagination, right? I think that's so powerful. It's so compelling. And the target group for Lego, well, it is, as we said, pretty diverse, which is wonderful. I mean, it'd be hard to deny that probably the core demographic is kids, right?
Yeah.
That's where we probably most of us get that first hands-on feel with the brand, but then it can transcend generations after that. So yeah, I'd say Lego's appeal kind of knows no age boundaries, but it's certainly, I think, the kind of memories that you make with it are very often in childhood, in play school or at home, or with a parent or a guardian or something like that. So yeah, its appeal is very diverse, and I think that's what makes it so powerful. So that's some sort of broad reasons that people love Lego, right? The experiences it can help us create. But what about designers specifically? What is it about Lego that designers kind of connect with and particularly enjoy about Lego and the brand? I've got 3 for us today. The first, I think, undeniable kind of reason why most people like it is the creative aspect, the creativity and the freedom. And I love this quote, and it actually really reminds me of what you were just saying, Franz. And this is a quote from one of my favorite artists, British artist Grayson Perry. He says, the sound of a box of Lego makes is the noise of a child's mind working, looking for the right piece. Shake it, and it's almost creativity in oral form. I think it's just so evocative. It's so wonderful. So Lego sets provide designers with this sort of platform for unleashing a bit of creativity and imagination. There's this sort of open-ended nature of bricks that you can build virtually anything that you can envisage. So, although as an adult now, I'm like, not really into Lego, I'd be amazed if it didn't play quite an important part in me kind of learning to be a creative child and building things and wanting to make things. And because I was one of those people who didn't have the sort of the set plans, I had the big box of crap, like everything. I could let my imagination go wild. So yeah, on reflection, maybe it had an important role to play in my career. The second thing is this sort of, it's probably at the other end of the creative spectrum, is the modularity and the precision of Lego, which again is sort of wrapped up in this wonderful quote by the artist Nathan Sawaya, who is famous for creating art out of Lego. He says the fact that you can take Lego bricks from 30 years ago and they still snap together with the same new Lego bricks that comes out. I mean, what type of product can span generations like that? There is something really special in it. And the modular design of Lego bricks with this sort of consistent size and shape, that would allow a designer or anyone to prototype and experiment with various concepts really efficiently. You sort of learn how things go together, but you also understand its limitations. You can be creative within those constraints. And the precision and reliability of the Lego bricks are really crucial for someone to use it for accuracy and consistency in their models, right? I'm sure we'll talk about some of the decisions that were made around how these bricks kind of evolved to enable that. But you, like that quote said, you can play with Lego from 30, 40, 50 years ago, and it will snap with stuff you buy in the store today, right? I don't think there's many other products or toys that do that. I can't think of any, really.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind. Maybe a ball.
And then the final thing I think around designers and design is what it allows from the creative process. It's this problem solving and iterative design ethos that comes from Lego. Lego encourages problem solving and iterative design processes. You can, if you are using it as a designer, you can use Lego to quickly test and refine an idea. It's a sort of it's quite a valuable tool for developing a concept maybe, and then moving on to a more formal design process. A bit like someone sculpting in clay, you could use Lego to kind of try out some engineering or a shape or a concept to get it out there. And I'm sure as a child I did this. If I was trying to test out my Lego experiments for whether they could hold my weight or not, I'm pretty sure some of them probably collapsed, and I had to add some more structure to them. So yeah, those for me are some of the main reasons that designers really enjoy Lego the brand, but also Lego the product. I love this final quote I found made me laugh because we've all experienced this. That was all about why people love Lego. But this is from a chap called Tony Kornheiser. Shout out, Tony. Don't know who you are, but I love this quote. Everyone who ever walked barefoot into a child's room late at night hates Lego. So we all know that pain. Have you done that recently, Alen? Because you've got a toddler. I guess your Duplo bricks are not quite as easy to walk on and hurt yourself.
No, but Duplo is pretty okay when it comes to that. Yeah, so far so good. Let's knock on wood.
Good,
so
glad to hear
no troubles there.
So this brand we love, the brand that feels like it's been around forever, and it has been around a long time.
Yeah.
Where did it all start?
Yeah. Where did it all start? Actually, knock on wood was a nice one, Alen, because it started as a wooden toy company. So Ole Kirk Christiansen is the founder of Lego. He founded Ole founded the company in 1932 after he had to close his carpentry business because of the Great Recession. So he thought that an alternative to providing carpentry services could be wooden toys. If people don't buy houses anymore or build houses anymore, they might still buy stuff for their kids. And that's how he pivoted his business for the first time from carpentry to wooden toys. Well, that's very different to what Lego is today, right? So now these building blocks made from plastic. Well, to tell the story how Lego got Lego and how the bricks got these bricks, actually we need to tell the story of how Tom would say, a UK chap called Hilary Page. So this chap invented self-locking building blocks. They were called Kittycraft. They were patented in 1939. And they were basically blocks snapping into place onto each other. And that was basically the concept of Lego invented by Hilary Page. And he called it Kittycraft. Basically, what Ole did was seeing a machine that would mold these plastic building blocks, being interested in that, looking for new business opportunities, and just saying, well, let's just add it to our portfolio. Let's also make plastic building blocks. So in 1949, 10 years after this patent of Kittycraft, Lego launched one other product in addition to their many other kids' toys, which was this plastic brick.
It's quite a pivot, right? Like, not a pivot because they added it to what they already had. So it's go from making these like quite high, really high quality wooden toys, horses, yo-yos, things like that, to go actually going to move into plastic bricks. It's quite a move.
Yeah, I think that was even at this point in time, maybe a step forward, right? So plastic was the new thing. So you just tried it out. So I guess he tried to be modern and tried to go with the time. It was more like, okay, that's what I can. I do wooden trucks, wooden ducks, wooden whatever. Let's also just grow my portfolio and try this new trend out, which is molding bricks from plastic.
And much easier to reproduce than doing every duck, in wood.
I think, pretty much.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So these blocks, they were almost identical with the Kittycraft blocks. So they just had a little different style, scale, and had the Lego logo on it, but basically it was completely the same. So how come we now know Lego, and I guess nobody has heard about Hillary Page and Kittycraft. At least I didn't know about this before I did the research. Did you know?
Same here.
No,
Learned about him yesterday.
I thought I'd heard of it, and I was like, no, I don't think so. I think it's just recency bias. What I did see, I don't know if you came across this, or I'm going to mention this later, that although Kittycraft were the direct inspiration, there were actually companies making these molded plastic bricks, very, very similar, for like 10, 15 years before that, in the States, made out of rubber, very, very similar to the Kittycraft ones. But Kittycraft was the inspiration. They're the ones that they sort of ended up signing an agreement with and all of that stuff. These I mean, they looked, the old rubber ones looked shit.
Yeah. And they had a big problem. So now question is, why do we now all know Lego, not Kittycraft, and why haven't we even heard about all the other alternatives that just Tom told us about? I didn't even know that there was more than Kittycraft. Well, the early blocks, they had a problem, and that was solved by our Ole Christensen. So we already established that everybody already played with Lego, right? So if you cannot imagine a Lego block, now I'm talking to listeners, just quickly Google one, just to get an idea how this 2x6 studs Lego block looks like. I don't know if this, like, I even thought about, should I even say this? Does anyone on this planet does not know how a Lego block looks like?
If you're going to, but I think you might be about to talk about the underside, which is less familiar.
Exactly. So from the top, they all look the same. They even look the same now. There are studs, but they were hollow on the inside when they were launched. They looked like an empty box from the bottom. And at the side, on the short side, they had let's say a slot that would allow them to bend and snap onto each other. So far, so clear. So just a box, and this box snaps on the studs of the other one.
Pretty basic.
Problem was, they didn't really grip well together, and they were very fragile. So I guess, Tom, you couldn't have done your let me stand on that experiment.
I would have tried, and it would have not ended well.
You could try, yeah.
I think the technical term is clutch, isn't it? That's what they call this connecting kind of thing. Yeah.
They really clutched together. And the problem was, kids could build something, but it would not last. So you couldn't even like hold it up, carry it to your parents and say, look what I've bought, because everything would actually fall apart. So,
what did you make, Tommy?
Well, no.
There's nothing left, Tommy.
It would be just tears.
Did you even build something? Come on. So yeah, they are just too fragile. And Ole Christensen solved that by adding 3 tubes on the inside. And that's how still every Lego block looks like. So these tubes give the studs more points of contact, and the blocks hold together much better. Yeah. And this is exactly how Lego became superior to all the other competitors. It gave them a chance to have a better product, but it also gave them a chance to have patent protection, because it was a clear differentiation from other similar products. And they protected it in 1958, which was basically the start of the product.
But it's a bit weird, because like until 1958, basically they were infringing the patent of another company, Kittycraft, and then from 58 onwards they were enforcing patent on others. Yeah, that's what I mean. When I was doing research, I was like, "How?" Did
you find something on that? Because I tried to research.
Yeah,
I was asking myself the same question, but I didn't get it.
Again, like it just So what you're saying now, it all comes down to engineering, and they had a superior engineering in this case, in this stage, which is true. But it doesn't seem to have stopped them copying Kittycraft. So like, why didn't others copy them? Maybe they were just better in like legal battles or whatever.
Maybe, yeah, because the Kittycraft ones, like if you Google them side by side, they look very similar. But underneath, it was the breakthrough, right? Having those what do you call them again, Franz? The bits underneath? Tubes. The tubes.
Tubes in the bottom, studs on the
game
top.
changer.
So yeah, maybe just pause the episode if you don't know what we're talking about and just Google Lego bottom side.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. The before and after, it'll blow your mind. Because they also had the would deform over time because there was because they weren't structurally as sound.
Yeah,
and then it would be hard to actually connect them and stuff like that. So engineering. What we talk about design with Lego a lot, but the engineering was critical,
especially in this stage.
Exactly. Engineering is of the product, like how does it work, but also the ability to manufacture it in a way that it would still like fit together, hold together. So that was it. New, different, slightly adjusted product, to be honest, but such an important adjustment that it's just superior to the competition, paired with great manufacturing, taking over, Kittycraft. But the real success only came with a broader vision about marketing and the product in general, like how they actually presented the product and how they marketed the product. So now we already got to know Ole Kirk Christensen. Now his son enters the stage, Gottfried Kirk Christensen, son of Ole, gradually takes over management, and he has a life-changing encounter. Life-changing, maybe not only for him and his company, but life-changing for a lot of children, maybe. So and that's the story that they tell, on a ferry crossing of the North Sea, he met a toy wholesaler. And this toy wholesaler was as interested as he was in discussing the toy industry. They were talking about where the industry would go. They would complain about what was great. They would praise what was great, but most importantly, they would complain about what wasn't great in the industry. And the point of this wholesaler was that toy makers have a huge problem and make a big mistake, which is producing one-off toys. As in contrast, doing cohesive systems where sets of toys were interrelated. So that didn't occur to me, but it kind of makes sense, right? If you have a truck, then this is a truck. If you have a duck, then this is a duck. But it's not something that would play together, like, for example, a farm, where you have several parts of something that would go together. Children do that in any case, but toy manufacturers at this point in time, they didn't have these systems. Okay, so that was the discussion. And actually, this suggestion stuck with Gottfried, and he was so intrigued that he spent weeks working out attributes that might define such a system of play. And the results are the company's 6 principles of play, which are like cornerstones, or even like close to religious guidelines of the company. So, first one, he wants a system that is limited in size without setting limitations of imagination. The second one is, it should be affordable. The third one is, this system should be simple, durable, and offer rich variations. The fourth one is, it should be for girls, for boys, fun for every age. Principle 5 of this system is a classic among toys without the need of renewal. And the 6th principle and last principle of this system of play was easy to distribute.
Check.
Tick, tick,
Yeah,
tick.
Lego ticks.
It's crazy, right?
It is nuts. And it really, I was trying to find some quotes around this, but I couldn't quite. There's too many good people in the space. But when it comes to design systems, we talk about Lego a lot. We use it as a metaphor as designers when we talk about design systems. But to just talk about Lego is to kind of get it wrong, because Lego is like the UI components. You need, and we talked about to Dan Mull in a recent interview about design systems, well worth a listen. And he talks about this around the important part being like the how how you use these things, right? It's like the guidelines, the documentation, the instruction, and that's what that does. It's like, here's the pieces, but here's the principles as well. They're so important together. And you're right, Alen. Tick, 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 all the way down. And do they still uphold those principles, Franz? Are those things that they still refer to as a modern business?
There are things that they lost out of sight in their history. We'll talk about this. And I think they are still, I don't know how important they are right now, but when I read them, and also talking about the history later, we see that they kind of vanished, or they forgot about some of them, but then they brought them back in, which helped them to be successful again. Interesting thing is here, now in hindsight, we completely realize that these 6 principles kind of talk about Lego. At this point in time, Gotthard wrote these principles before it was clear that he would even talk about the Lego brick.
Really? So it came principles first. That is
exactly, and that's that was crazy for me to learn that these principles, this system of play, came before the decision to focus on the Lego brick as the means of actually realizing these principles. Because when he wrote this, the company had a portfolio of toys. Plastic blocks was one of them, but they also had a range of wooden toys. As I said, I like saying tractors, trucks, and ducks. So that was like
it slips off the tongue. Franz, that's blown my mind. And again, if we're tying it back to design, so often we talk about you should develop your principles, your vision first when it comes to how you want to design something, and then you start working on how you're going to realize that, the solutions. That's really inspiring that something like Lego, which we use as a creative tool, started from those principles. I had no idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And
it's
now
a nice piece of business. I mean, it's a nice piece of business storytelling that we can use on projects. That's what I mean with business storytelling. When you're trying to make the case for why we should start with principles versus end with principles, you can use a story like this to convince the client.
Little company called Lego, you might have heard of them. Before this, they were doing trucks, ducks, and trucks, or whatever.
Tractors, trucks, and ducks.
Tractors, trucks, and ducks. That's amazing. That's wonderful.
So Gottfried Kirk Christiansen took these principles, reviewed the company's portfolios of toys, and decided the self-locking building blocks, the self-locking Lego bricks, were the most closely aligned with these 6 principles. And now that's when he decided to make the brick the main product of Lego. There was also like fire tragedy in play where like their workshop burnt down. But so after all, long story short, what they decided on is that from now on, Lego means locking, building bricks, Lego bricks made from plastic.
From looking at you mentioned the fire and the sort of bit of background in there, that I watched the kind of Lego story of their history, and it does kind of smooth out a few ups and downs. From my understanding, actually, it's Godfrey, isn't it? He was initially quite skeptical of the move towards the plastic, right? Sales weren't great, and I think they were on the brink of maybe abandoning it and trying to go back to the wood. And it reminds me of that image, that metaphor of like where you're digging, and you stop just before you get to the diamond, right? But it feels like they just kind of got themselves enough revenue and enough time to go, let's go again. And maybe this encounter with this chap on the boat, the systems thing just got there. And you often think, wow, what if that conversation had gone differently? What if they had given up at that point? We might not have this incredible brand that we do now.
Absolutely. So after all, this system actually, or this decision was also the birth of the Lego system. So the idea was that you combine Lego bricks around a certain theme that can literally expand as far as imagination of a child goes, as Tom already introduced their own brand line. So the first system was a Lego town, and then it would make it would take me an hour to list all the other systems, but just for illustrative purposes, Lego Castle, Lego Space, Lego Pirates, Lego Vikings, expand this list. So that was the first, let's say, wave of success for Lego, that they realized that they can do platform marketing. You can have one brand, you can have one product. And if you have perfect modularity, you have endless opportunities to slice and price your product. So as a parent, you can buy an extensive city theme for Christmas. As an aunt or uncle, you can buy a police station for this city for the kid's birthday. And there were even these tiny part packs designed to be impulse add-ons for, let's say, a screaming child that just wants something, and you can just add to your everyday purchase. So could be everything from one brand, from one product. And that's a genius strategic move.
It's one of the rare examples where a hardware product has like a really strong network effect, because as soon as you buy the first Lego system or even like just a simple box, there just makes more sense for you to buy the second Lego package, second Lego box, because it is modular and interoperable, so to say, with the first one. So you're more likely to buy the same brand, and that's just network effects written all over it. Which again is one of the reasons why it has such a longevity. As soon as you buy in, you're bought into the system.
Yeah. And even if you look at the most recent financial and strategic document of Lego, there is one page that says the block that you buy today will fit together with the block that you bought in 1959. So they're still playing on this because of this network effect, and because it also plays into something else that got increasingly important, which is sustainability. So it's not something that you buy once and then after the season has passed, you can't use it anymore. No, it's going to be usable. It's going to be combinable. It's going to be this box that you can turn and rain on your floor and just do whatever you want to do with it. So yeah, that was an impressive move. And yeah, just imagine we're in the 1960s currently. Late 1950s, early 1960s. And this system, together with internationalization of sales and production, put Lego on a roll for decades. Like Lego sustained to be a family business. The leadership was handed over to the next Christiansen, Kjeld Christiansen, grandson of the founder. And with many family business, there was slow but steady growth. And Lego grew to be into a respected brand, big business, with, let's say, the same playbook used over decades. You already imagined what's coming. You already imagine what's coming next, right? It's 1990s. And the playbook stops working.
Actually, when does their patent run out? I think it's like 1980 something or 70 something. So right, a little bit before the 90s, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how much that played into account. I didn't even read a lot about the patent.
I have it somewhere in my notes, so I just need to find it. But essentially around 1978 was the last significant patent for Lego bricks, and expired in 1978 in the US. And that's where a lot of new competitors entered the space. And then what Lego actually did as a response was first fight them legally, because they got too close to the Lego, and they were basically saying that, oh, they're basically just copying the Lego and everyone recognizes the Legos. So the consumers are confused. They think they're buying Lego, but they're actually not. Lego lost this case. So after, I'm guessing, a decade of these legal battles, then they focused elsewhere. But that's where maybe they took the eye off the ball.
I think
that
it's
led to
the
the crisis.
80s as well, where they signed some sort of agreement with Kiddie Craft that they wouldn't lawyer up and come at them. They kind of avoided that for a while. Or is that wrong, Franz?
No, I don't know, but everything that you're saying sounds exactly like your S-curve or your growth cycle coming to an end, right? So you had a huge innovation in the 1950s and 60s. You capitalized on that for decades. And now you're fighting lawsuits, you're signing deals.
Big pity.
There's and I mean, that was even nice that this lasted so long. But what this discussion and all these bits and pieces that you are now bringing up shows is that Lego reached the end of their natural growth cycle. So they were already on the shelf of every toy store. They had done what they can do with their Lego bricks, like with their current imagination. So at best, Lego was on a stagnating path without any changes. Problem is, if you're on a stagnating path, there just needs to go one other thing wrong, and then this stagnating path very quickly transforms into a big problem. And that actually what happened with Lego, because on the other hand, there was a huge shift in the market. So in the 90s, big box toy discounters took over the market from traditional toy stores, mom and pop stores. I didn't know that they were called like this, but apparently this is how people bought their toys. And after that, we had big box stores like Toys R Us who took over this market completely, centralized it, consolidated it, and lowered prices, obviously. That's what happens.
I loved Toys R Us. R.I.P. Toys R Us. My parents used to pretend that it was Santa's warehouse to make Christmas really easy. So they take me there. And they go, "Oh yeah, this is all Santa's, by the way. Choose whatever you want." and yeah, he'll sort it out. So it would be go there with a big trolley. I'm sure some Lego went in there at some point. But I remember the giraffe guy.
Lego wasn't as happy about Toys R Us than you were.
Were they? They weren't Toys R Us fans. Tell me more.
So yeah, that was one reason, consolidating the market when it comes to the point of sale. Then birth rates declined, fewer children, and at this point in time, Lego's target group was children. And lastly, there was the first wave of digitalization. Can you believe that? In the 1990s was the first wave of digitalization.
Can just
like
about
when I read this, I was
France.
like, what happened there again?
Yeah.
Was it Game Boy and things like that? The games?
Exactly. Yeah. Video games, consoles, technology incorporated into toys like Furby and Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi.
Also another thing, cable television.
Yeah. Arcade games.
Exactly. So before, Lego was basically owning kids' rooms. And you know which company owned kids' rooms in the 1990s?
Nintendo?
Yeah, PlayStation, Nintendo.
Yeah. Nintendo. And late 1990s, Pokemon.
Pokemon, really?
Game Boy game, manga series, trading card game, anime series, film. Like that was 1990s.
Panini stickers.
Okay, now this podcast gets into what is your favorite childhood memory? What do you like to play with?
We probably going to tear down Pokemon one day.
But that's where the whole market shifted, right? Lego as an analog toy struggled against a wave of digital entertainment that offered instant gratification. So, what did Lego do?
Video games.
Actually, the answer is yes. On a broader level, they innovated. They innovated hard. Like they put a lot of money into new ideas. Problem was, turned out they innovated in the wrong direction, and turned out they innovated completely unguided. So first, they innovated on the product. They made increasingly complicated products. So from 1993 to 1998, nice number, they tripled the product line and doubled the number of unique Lego pieces. So what would they do? Just more Lego, more Lego, more Lego, more products in order to boost sales. But not only ordinary, but sometimes very complex Lego products. At this point in time, Lego Mindstorms, somebody might know of this. So more complex things that you could potentially do more stuff with, but it had a problem because it was completely against the trend. This was getting more complex, while other games actually got more and more transformed into instant gratification. And also it made running the business much more complex, producing it, managing inventory. So this thing they did with their core product was going completely against two principles they had.
I remember
it wasn't easy to distribute anymore. It wasn't simple anymore. It just got more complex and harder to play with, but also harder to manage.
That's so true. I remember having the Lego Technics, which probably is one that's come up. Very frustrating. I remember being incredibly frustrated as a kid playing with it, trying to get it to work. It never really. I can from what you're telling me now, I'm learning that maybe the strategy wasn't quite there. Maybe it wasn't as well thought out as basic bricks, really. So maybe I wasn't as thick a child as I thought it was. Maybe the product just wasn't well thought through.
Yeah, that was the time where this product innovation that they nailed so much with these new themes that they launched, and they were all instant success, didn't work anymore. So they couldn't grow from products anymore. Second, they also diversified outside of their core product. So already in the 1990s, the Lego brand was unbelievably strong. A study showed that brand recognition was on the same level as Disney.
Wow.
Okay. So, new management killed Christensen. Actually was very sick, and he brought in
Did
management.
You say
they killed
Christensen
him.
Or...
That seems a little harsh.
Huh?
Killed him or fired him?
So this is grandson of the founder.
Okay.
Killed
So
Christensen.
This is the name. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
was going
thought
to
you
say
said they killed him.
That's
okay.
Killed
quite
Christensen.
Not a recommended
if...
business strategy. We don't endorse murder.
No, we don't. Okay, so new management team. What they did was, okay, we have an awesome brand. Let's capitalize on this brand. Our core product doesn't work, so let's create products with our brand that we can sell. So capitalize on brand value. Lego themed video games, Lego themed TV shows, Lego themed amusement parks. That was not their idea. They just expanded it. So what they did was, I forgot, merge Lego clothing. So they thought Lego clothes would be the next big thing. So they just tried to do new things away from the core product, because they just thought, okay, it seems like our core product, the bricks, is dying. Let's just use our Lego brand and invest in new products, and they will be the new Lego over time. So while the number of Lego branded items grew, sales just didn't. So it just didn't work. The new products, the new bricks didn't work. The new products outside of bricks didn't work. So they didn't find their new business, which was their attempt. And in 1998, they recorded the first financial loss since the inception of the company. And that was really the low point of the company, right? So what you're doing is you see things aren't working that great anymore. You're just investing into innovation, what they thought was innovation, and just nothing works. And that's now the point of the turnaround. Because in this process, they realized that the Lego brick that they thought they would just abandon as they had abandoned the wooden toys, that this brick is still very relevant and everything should actually revolve around it. And rather seeing digitalization as a threat to the core product and trying to create new digital products or other products that would eventually help to phase out the core product or the old product, they actually started to combine it. Lego started to position themselves as an analog extension of digital culture and pop culture rather than, let's say, the alternative old or something that would eventually just fade. And there was this huge change in mind and huge change in philosophy that they didn't try to find the next big thing. They just tried to focus on their principle, focus on their bricks, and try to combine it with what was just happening in the market.
Right.
And the first thing they did was a licensing deal, hopping on the shoulders of giants.
Star Wars. Yeah.
You got it.
But that's again like this whole story of this licensing and then how they went from, oh, we need to abandon potentially Lego bricks to let's keep them and then let's just position ourselves as friends of the digital brands, not as the alternative. It's one of those things that in hindsight looks smart and obvious, but also such a simple move that when you're discussing strategy in a boardroom, it sometimes doesn't even seem like a decision, but it's such an important, simple decision that just turned the whole company around. So what I'm trying to say is like sometimes the difference between a success and a failure is so close, and it's just a nuance of understanding the market and what it actually needs. And in this case, it's like, oh, we actually need to stay analog instead of going into digital.
Yep.
But the way to stay analog is by partnering with digital.
Yeah. I mean, for some companies, leaving their core business works perfectly, right? So it worked already for them. They had wooden toys, then they had bricks. Nobody was actually in a bad mood because they discontinued wooden toys. So for some companies, it would have been a great move to not do Lego bricks anymore or not do the old business anymore, but go into a new business. So if that had worked, we would maybe still talk about Lego and talk about this amazing transition from one field of business to a new field of business. But for them, they realized that actually we as Lego, we have diehard fans. And our diehard fans just need another way of motivation. And maybe we can motivate them through piggybacking on something else. And the first try that was really successful was Star Wars in 1999. And from that on, licensing deal were a recipe for success for Lego. So Batman from DC, Spider-Man from Marvel, Jurassic Park, that was some early ones, Harry Potter, you name it. It's almost like you don't know if you're looking at bricks or at like a DVD store. I don't know who still knows DVD stores, but that's almost like, it feels like the same thing. Like, is this now DVD boxes or movie boxes, or is this now Lego bricks? You don't know. It's because it's exactly the same thing. So these licensing deals were a huge success, but they did not turn around the company, because two big problems with licensing. First one, it's costly. So obviously, if you want Star Wars, you're going to pay for Star Wars. And the second thing is, you give your success into the hand of the owner of the IP. In other words, no successful movie, no sales. No new Star Wars, no new Jurassic Park, no sales. If new Star Wars, but Star Wars bad, also no sales. So there is a lot of like tripling down effects that is not in your hand. But what they learned at Lego is that what makes these new products successful was the IP, the story, the characters, the worlds. And now they realize they need this for their own. They realize that their market, it's not enough anymore to have themes like pirates. You need the Pirate of the Caribbean. It's not enough to do Lego space. You need Star Wars, right? So you need characters, you need stories, you almost need, you need more life than just the brick. And that was the next evolution of the company, because they started to produce their own stories, their own characters. The first was a product line very close to what they already had. It was called Bionicles. Not sure if people still remember, but that was their first really, really successful attempt on building not only bricks and things, but building a character. And that actually came from an external agency. Another name, Chris Faber. Give credit to Chris Faber. He was the person who had the idea. And he famously said, I was sitting with Lego and thought I would love to build a character instead of a car.
Nice one, Chris.
Easy quote, but for me, it was interesting to see the shift in, let's say, product design and product identity. First, as I said, it's enough to have a theme. Now it's not enough to have a theme. You need a character, you need a story, you need something that backs it up. And that was the birth of a, let's say, buildable action figure that has characters, that has a story behind. And it was completely multi-channel. Comics, books, movies, video games, similar to Pokemon. It was not only blocks.
But I didn't know they made these other things from, because I've heard of that, the Bionics, and I'm sure there's others that you'll mention, but I didn't realize it had expanded the other way out. That's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was multi-channel, and this story created a new type of value proposition. It goes into collectibles and it goes into fan base. Before it's creativity, like, right, you enjoy doing this, you enjoy building this, you enjoy being creative. That's awesome, and that's a nice feeling to have. But another feeling that they now unlocked was like this emotions of having something, collecting something, being a fan of a theme, identifying with a character. That's all they introduced with this new focus on IP and on content. And this actually, let's say, peaked with the next big thing: no content combined with a product, no IP combined with the product, but IP only, which was Lego Movie. When I heard that Lego brings a movie, I was like, why? Like, I was not ready for a Lego movie. I've never watched a Lego movie. But now in this research, I realized that this was one of the most successful movies of the decade, animated movies of this decade.
Spaceship. That won't mean anything to you, Franz.
No, it doesn't.
I haven't watched it either.
Have you not? Oh, it's really good. I was really skeptical going into it. A friend of ours was like, whack it on, coming over for an evening. It is bloody brilliant. Really entertaining.
Yeah. And this strategic shift from, let's say, product first to story first, in order to sell the product, really unlocked growth for Lego again. On the one hand, geographically, because they were able to enter new markets where these franchises they partnered with were successful, but maybe Lego wasn't successful. But they also were able to enter a new age group. And they realized that they had a huge fan base amongst adults. And this is now the last building blocks that would finally elevate Lego from a company that almost went bankrupt to like growing into what is now the biggest toy maker in the world. They realized the potential of adults as target audience.
Did you see how they call themselves, these adults who love Lego?
No.
It's an acronym. AFOL. So AFOL, adult fan of Lego.
Yep.
So you can find Reddit, subreddit groups with this acronym, and that's basically it. Yeah.
I didn't appreciate just how big it is, that community is, until researching this. When I was looking for like podcast episodes, there's some great stuff out there, Wondery and a few others that have done great kind of breakdowns of the history. But I had to get past all of these podcasts that are that community, adult brick fans and things like that.
This is huge. It's
We
crazy.
got to have Alen do the huge. He does the best huge on the DMBA podcast.
Huge. But what I came across also is the new value proposition that this brought. Not sure if you're going to talk about this. So it's not just selling to adults for their fun or for the collecting, but it's also now you have people who are investing in Lego. Yeah. I came across this YouTube video with 500,000 views. There's a guy who explains how he basically buys like Lego boxes in obviously in pristine condition because they're new, but he doesn't open them. He stores them in the right humidity in his home warehouse, and then he sells them, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years later for 3x. So there's a whole like subculture that goes into this as well, which is a new value proposition that Lego has unlocked.
Yeah, absolutely. It changed how Lego is perceived completely. So first, they realized that adults are the ones buying. So even if you have users is children, adults will buy. So obviously it makes sense to have a good relationship with them. Second, they realized that adults are also users. Like if you have a product that's so old, it might even be that something that you love as a child, you still love as an adult. That's nostalgia. Let's say a logical thing. So many adults love building Lego. So Lego started to sell products that were geared towards adults. And now I'm not talking only about complexity. I'm also talking about, Beatles themes. Obviously, no 6-year-old would love a Beatles themed Lego set, but
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, exactly. So the third and arguably the most impactful view or perspective on this are that adults are not only buying, they are die-hard fans. And it's about interacting with them, building a relationship with them, building a community. And that is what Lego has mastered over the years. And when I say mastered, it's crazy what they do for their community. So, Tom, you will know that reality TV show Lego Masters.
I've heard of it. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, originated in the UK, spilled over to the US, a reality competition TV series where teams compete to build the best Lego projects on national TV. Then there is a whole team of people at Lego supporting adult communities, like adult fans of Lego. And there are countless of YouTube channels of people building and reviewing Lego products. If you want an example, David Hall at Solid Brick Studios, 600,000 followers on YouTube. And then there are some people, because David Hall also has a private account, also 30,000 followers. And then if you follow all the national accounts, like 30,000 here, 60,000 there, like that's a huge community. And Lego brings them in to co-create, to work together. And this effort in interacting with the Lego community of all ages also closes the loop to the time they almost went bankrupt. I told you about this over diversification, right? When they almost killed the company by this misguided diversification or unguided innovation process, right? So what they learned from their mistakes of not only having merged that should eventually be sold instead of Lego bricks, but also from launching Lego sets that just nobody felt joy in playing with. They learned from this mistake by becoming the pioneers of open innovation and crowdsourcing. So even if you've never done this and heard of this, that's the way Lego also creates products. So on the one hand, they create these diehard fans by co-creating stuff. On the other hand, that's how they make sure that their products also cater to the bigger audience, because obviously they're made by fans, by users. So Lego doesn't only test ideas; they build a sustainable practice to interact with their fans that result in actual products. So already in the early 2000s, they built a Lego factory concept, which was a competition with 10 winners. And the winners of this competition got their ideas actually produced with a picture of them on the box. This grew into Lego Ideas, which allows you to submit ideas for Lego products, and these are turned into sets. And then you receive actually 1% of royalties from sales. And now, Tom, I'm telling you about the intermediate touch point of Lego that I had. So I told you about my first and I told you about my last, but the intermediate touch point that I had about Lego was as a case study in business school.
Oh, interesting.
Lego is
everywhere.
On every business school. You cannot graduate from a business school without learning about their open innovation and collaborative or crowdsourcing techniques. It's just the North Star when you want to build an open innovation crowdsourcing practice. You look at Lego because they nailed it. Right. After screwing it up big times in the early 2000s, they really learned how to do open innovation and crowdsourcing.
I thought you were going to say your middle experience was that you got one of your ideas
implemented by Lego.
Yeah. And now every month, I don't even have to work.
Every month receiving
the checks coming through. He just does this for love.
So I build Legos for a living. I do DMBA for fun.
Exactly.
Not the other way around.
And the other nuisance of working with Lego is that you get paid in Danish kronas instead of euros. It's like,
he's a millionaire.
Yeah, true. I mean, this was basically everything that is, let's say, proven. These are all the strategic decisions that have proven to be successful. The ones from the first wave of growth, like product innovation and this platform marketing. Then the second wave of growth, realizing that the brick is the core, needing to enhance the brick with digital and pop culture, going into licensing, going into own content creation. So not only standing on the shoulders of giants, but producing your own giants, your own stories, and then finding a way to actually interact with this community and really build this fan base that would not only buy your products, but actually interact, promote, talk about, and even create. I think these were the biggest ones. There are obviously current ones, but maybe we talk about them later. Their current strategic bets.
After numbers?
Yeah, I already dropped one biggest toy manufacturer of the world.
Yeah, exactly. So basically my guessing game, the first half of the guessing game of the revenue is obsolete because you said Lego is the biggest toy manufacturer of the world. It is the biggest toy company in terms of the revenue, for sure. But how does it rank against other companies in the same space? So let's play the guessing game as we always do. We're going to try to guess which of these two companies that I give you now, Tom and Franz, which has bigger revenue. So first one is Nintendo versus Lego. So do you think Nintendo or Lego has higher revenue? Which company is
Who
bigger?
goes first?
Tom.
I'm going to say Lego.
I say
Tom?
Nintendo.
Okay. The correct answer is indeed Nintendo with 15.1 billion US dollars. And that's 2022 numbers, because I could only find Lego 2022 numbers. Okay, so yeah, Nintendo is bigger. What about EA Sports?
It's in the game.
It's in the game, yeah. FIFA, NBA, NHL.
Your turn, Franz. You go first this time.
It's a bit harder, huh?
Yeah, I would say close. Nah, I would say Lego.
Based off the last one, I'm going to say Lego as well.
And both of you would be?
Correct. Absolutely 100% right.
Correct. Yes. So EA Sports in 2022 made 7.4 billion in revenue. What about Fortnite? So one of the most, if not the most popular video game made by a company called Epic Games. So I could not find exact revenue for the Fortnite, but the publisher of Fortnite, the game, so the publisher is Epic Games. Would Epic Games or Lego have more revenue?
I really like these comparisons because this is like one game with all the sort of stuff you can buy in game. I don't think Fortnite's as big as it used to be, but I'm not a teenager, so I might be completely wrong there. I'm going to say Lego.
Franz?
From the logic, I also say Lego. From the game, I would say Fortnite.
Game theory.
Yeah. Game theory, it's Fortnite. So my game theory answer is Fortnite. What I actually think, if this wasn't a game, I would say Lego is bigger.
Yeah, and you would be actually right with Lego, because Lego is slightly bigger. So actually Lego in 2022 had 8.7 billion euros in terms of their revenue, which is 9.5 billion in US dollars. The really interesting thing is, why do we even have this number? So why do we even know the revenue of Lego? Because as Franz has mentioned, it's a privately owned company. And just as a backstory of how we decided to do Lego as a company is, like, each of us basically just does a quick research to see if we can dig up any useful stuff in terms of the things we will cover in this process. And I always look at the numbers, and I type in Lego annual report, and I see there's a beautifully made annual report from 2022. So I give it a green light from my side. Let's jump into Lego, and I can also dig up some numbers, which to me was a sign that this is a publicly traded company, because no private company is, I'm going to use this word, stupid enough to share all of their numbers. And obviously, I'm not saying Lego is stupid, but it's just very uncommon practice. There's a privately owned company shares all of these information, because usually they don't have to, so that they don't want to share this information with the competitors, because they're the ones that also look into this. And I dig deeper into why Lego does this, and the only reasonable explanation I could find was that they just believe in transparency, and that's kind of what they do as a way to communicate with the market, which is very commendable, I would say.
Feels very.
Can I drag real quick? Who is the actual owner? Have you learned who is the actual owner of Lego
company?
Batman.
Yeah, 25% by a how do you call that? Well, non-profit, and 75% by the family, which is organized as a family office, as a family investment office.
Yeah, and the name of this, fun fact?
Oh no, yeah, I forgot.
Kirkby. So Kirkbi. Kirkby.
Which
is aligned with the owners, Kjeld Kirk Christiansen, Thomas Kirk Christiansen, Agnete Kirk Tingard, Sophie Kirk Christiansen, and just remember the founder's name was Ole Kirk Christiansen, and the son of the founder's name was Gotthard Kirk Christiansen. So
is this?
It made me crack up. So I was just like, Kirkby, it's a nice name. I like it because there is something there, like nice logo, nice name. And then I just saw on
So
on
all of their
Wikipedia,
middle names.
the middle names of the. I don't know what this is, so I think Danish people need to educate us there, because I don't know if it's a middle name in terms of second first name, or if it's another family name, because from the look, male and female names are there in this list, and both have the second name Kirk. So I don't exactly know what this means, because usually there are male second names or male names and female names from tradition, right? So yeah, that made me just laugh that they have the middle name Kirk, and the name, the family office, the investment firm for the Christiansen family is called Kirkby.
Yeah, that's a good find.
Fun fact.
I like the fact they're being transparent with these numbers, though. That's quite admirable. It feels quite Scandinavian, quite progressive, right?
Very progressive. So let's dig into a few more numbers. So how is Lego doing in the times when the toy industry is crumbling? Because it is. So from 2021 to 2022, there are different reports. So either very low growth of the toy industry, so roughly 1.5% is one report I've found, and another report says that the toy industry actually shrank from 2021 to 2022. Well, Lego has grown by 70% in that year. 17. And even in itself, 70% growth is really, really good for a company of this size and this age. But knowing that the whole industry actually declined and you grew by 17, so double-digit growth, 17%, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really, really amazing. However, the way our Scandinavians are explaining or describing this is, and I'm quoting now, I'm going to read from the report. Overall, the Lego Group delivered a very satisfactory performance in 2022.
It's all good.
Sounds underwhelming.
So how are you doing?
Satisfactory.
Fine. Broadly fine.
I couldn't believe when I read this. Satisfactory. I mean, just say it as it is. You're killing it.
They'd be modest. Bless them.
Yeah, exactly. Modest Danes. So one of the reasons why, one of the ways Lego is still growing while the whole industry is declining is because they have a very smart retail strategy. It's something we covered already in the ESOP episode, that you try to grow by opening retail stores in different countries, in different regions. And from 2021 to 2022, the company opened, I couldn't believe it, 155 stores. So just to put this in perspective, that's one store every second day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is literally crazy. So it grew by 20%. So now the total number at the end of 2022 was 907. By the way, the reason I'm talking about 2022 numbers, despite us being in 2024, is because usually it takes until March of the new year. So March 2024, we will get the numbers and the report from 2023.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about 2022 still. But the mid-year report from 2023 also showed very good numbers. So yeah, another interesting fact about their stores. So as I said, 907 stores. So out of those 907, where did I lose this number now? I had the exact split of how many they operate versus how many actually are operated by partners. Here I have them. 185 stores are owned by the company, and then 719 are operated by partners. So that's another smart decision, is you find a partner, you find somebody in a certain location who is willing to open the store and run it for you, and then you supply them with the goods instead of you actually owning the whole store in that.
This is a franchise.
They call them partners. Not sure if it's a franchise, but could also be maybe seen as a franchise.
Didn't realize that.
And the huge opportunity for growth is, as always, Asia. So we keep repeating these things, but yeah, also for Lego right now, most of the revenue actually comes from Americas, so South and North America, 44%, and then 39% is Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then 17% is Asia and Pacific, and they only recently entered China as a market, so that's what they're banging on. And what's interesting there, though, is that the Chinese consumers don't have the same nostalgia. So the adults in China don't have the same nostalgia that people in America and in Europe and elsewhere have. And that also just means they need to market themselves differently, need to find different ways to grow. But yeah, opening stores is definitely a big part of that.
Yeah. They even opened a factory recently in China. And I think even here, they can use the playbook of licensing.
Speaking of licensing, you know what percent of their costs is licensing? 11%. Yeah.
11% of total cost is licensing cost.
Correct. Yeah.
Do you have a manufacturing number?
You mean the total split of the cost, or?
Yeah, what percent is manufacturing?
Yes, I do. So, I mean, there's two different ways the way they talk about the costs. So one is, I'll tell you both splits. So the production cost is 43%, and this includes licensing. And then sales and distribution is 43%, and then admin is 10%, and then other is 4%. Or split differently, raw materials is, I didn't do the splits here, but it's 9 billions out of 46. And this is in Danish kronas. And then employee cost is 11 billion, depreciation, amortization 2 billion, license and royalty expenses 5 billion, and other external expenses 17 billion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But we've learned already, I think, licensing is part of production cost.
I should actually double check if it's production or if they put it under sales and distribution, but I think it should go under production. I think so. Which brings us to another very important point or key performance indicator of these companies, which is one of my favorite KPIs, which is gross profit. So just a quick reminder of what gross profit is. I love to say that it's basically showing us how profitable a product is. So not the overall company, but the product in itself. So it's essentially what it is. It's the money a company makes from selling its product after paying the direct costs to make that product. It's like your earnings from a bake sale after paying for the ingredients, but before considering things like table rental or advertising. And then in the example of Lego, so these costs, the costs that go directly into the making of the Lego would be material costs such as plastics, manufacturing costs like running factories and buying machines, running machines, the labor costs in factories, quality control costs, and so on. So let's compare now Lego with some other companies who have amazing gross profits as well, just to see how it fares. So another guessing game for you, Tom and Franz. So let's compare Lego with Google, with Alphabet. Are you Googling, Franz? This is not allowed.
Hands up.
I'm not
Franz
Googling.
to see them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm doing? I'm extending my list.
Oh, you're
You know, I have a list of all the revenue margins of all the last companies.
I don't like that, Franz, because that means I have to find new examples all the time, but it's fine. So Google, obviously being a mostly software company, by the nature of the product should have a higher gross profit. So what's your guess, Tom and Franz?
I feel you were leading the witness slightly there, Alen.
Slightly.
I'm going to say it's not Google based off your intonation, or was he trying to throw us off the scent? I don't know, but yes, it would be a safe assumption that Lego would be less profitable, gross profit. But
yeah, I also think it's Google.
I thought the same, but Google 55% gross profit margin, Lego 68.
Shush. That's mad. For physical
It's
products,
very impressive.
we talk about they've not just physical products, obviously, but that is pretty impressive.
It is very impressive. 68% is super impressive number. So let's compare Lego with Luxottica. So another company that has a very similar products, a hardware, kind of a monopoly in its business, a lot of licensing deals. So I can tell you that gross profit is similar, but take a guess if it's higher or lower than Lego. So Luxottica being the eyewear company producing glasses.
I'd argue that Luxottica even has a less complex product to produce. So I say it's higher.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go the other way just for the fun.
And Tom, your fun would be correct.
It's changed.
Yeah, it's Lego. I think it's because Luxottica just needs also, licensing and maybe marketing. In that case, is also part of the gross profit. Not sure. But Lego has a higher gross profit margin with 68, and Luxottica has 63. And just to round it up, L'Oreal, another company with producing a product with high gross margins. That's cosmetics.
I say L'Oreal. I mean, from the ESOP lessons learned, it's absolutely mind-blowing. I'm going to go with L'Oreal.
Franz?
I follow Tom.
Yeah, L'Oreal, 72%. I mean, just unbelievable numbers. Unbelievable. But yeah, Lego 68. And obviously also net profit, also positive net profit margin with 21%. Just to put this in perspective, Apple, for example, has 10% net profit
That is
margin.
the even more impressive number for me. I came across this report and I was like 21% net profit margin. So
yeah,
bottom line. That's what net profit margin means. Like, what is the actual profit
for all the curves
as a percentage? Yeah, as a percentage from revenue, it's crazy. 21%.
Yeah. So all the Kirks together get like 21% of the everything that Lego makes.
Yeah, all the that's true. So they get 75% of that.
75% of
25 goes to the fund.
Exactly. But why? I mean, I was trying to understand what is the nature of this product that allows Lego to have such a high gross margin. And it goes into the very core of the decision, into the playbook that you shared, Franz, which is let's have a toy that's classic. Let's have a toy that's limited in size, something that's easy to distribute. And if you think about it, the Lego is a very simple product, a very modular product. And it means that it's something that you keep producing for years and years and years. And what is the highest fixed cost in plastic products?
The mold.
Exactly, the mold. And that mold costs from 50 to 100K, right? Which means that if I make, let's say, 100,000 pieces, so I make one mold and I make 100,000 of these pieces from that mold, it means that each of these molds cost me $1 in terms of the fixed cost from the mold, right? It could be slightly more because of the plastic that I'm also pouring into the mold, but the fixed cost, it amortized over 100 pieces. So each of them cost me $1. Well, what if I told you that some of the Lego pieces have been produced more than 50 million times? That means that,
I get that
amortization for that one mold is distributed over 50 million pieces, if assuming that we use the same mold, which is $0.002. So that's less than a cent. That's 0.2 cents, essentially. Which tells you that that's why this company has such an unbelievable high gross margin, because it has these beautiful product which they can basically produce without knowing exactly what they will do with it, because they can, once the plastic is made, they can decide, oh, this is in demand right now, so we can use this 2x6 dots Lego brick in that box for the Star Wars. Or
I think there are many custom parts that are really let's say, only used for this very set, but I think there is a big base of the standardized products.
Yeah.
And I think there's one principle that they might have, let's say, especially parents will now disagree or will say that that's not true anymore. One of the 6 principles, affordability. Like it feels like with the licensing deals, they also managed to build a brand on top of brands. Like if you line yourself up with great and very big brands, then eventually you also get one of these brands. And I think that's what Lego has managed to do. And I would say that Lego now is a premium toy.
Yep, agree.
So affordability, well, yeah, it might be still affordable, but it's definitely not a budget or cheap toy. And I guess that's also going into the great net margins that they have.
Exactly. So having said that, and all the numbers I shared just now, let's see what we can learn about this company. How do you feel about it? So now it's the judgment time, or the way Franz wants me to say, the judgment day for Lego. So Franz, would you buy, hold, or sell Lego stock if you could?
I would definitely hold. I would maybe buy. I think that I don't think they have the biggest potential of all companies, but I think they have such a great margin that there is now a lot of stuff that they can still do. Now, I just want to introduce the current strategic initiatives that they have from their financial report. So the 3 biggest ones are, first, opening own stores even more. Yeah, that's going to grow sales. That's going to help them not like indefinitely. Second one is sustainability, packaging material and brick production. Also not something that I think will help them grow, because either it's going to be, so how do you grow? You grow by winning against somebody else. They are already the leader in the industry. So you can't say, hey, now buy us over this other toy because we are more sustainable. So that's not really a growth strategy. That's more like, yeah, we got to do it. Like we're gonna go into this direction. Everybody has to. And the last one is merging digital and physical experiences. Their third big strategic bet, which also doesn't feel like a bet really. It also feels like, yeah, you got to do that. And I was very intrigued by the number they want to grow their digital team to. Did you come across this number?
No, I haven't.
So full employees. How many employees does Lego have?
27,000 was at the end of 2022.
Is it 27 or 17?
27.
27.
Double checked, but pretty sure it was 27,000. Yeah.
A digital team of 1,800 people. So a digital team that only works on e-commerce, upgrading digital infrastructure, and driving enterprise-wide digital transformation. 1,800 people hired only for that. They are not there, but that's one KPI that they shared in their, let's say half-year report, or the one that I saw. So to me, that's a question mark, because what that could work, could not work. So yeah, I'm now, bottom line, I'm at hold. Definitely hold, maybe buy if you love toys.
Okay, slightly positive sentiment coming from Franz. What about Tom? Maybe satisfactory vibes coming from
satisfactory.
Franz. Well, yeah, satisfactory.
Yeah.
What about Tom?
Being modest with it. Yeah. the growth thing feels like a challenge. It's a shame we didn't get time to dive into the sustainability stuff a bit more, because I think that's going to be an enormous challenge for them. And they have had to roll back a whole bunch of sustainability initiatives because actually they weren't stacking up. They were trying to use recyclable plastics, but actually the amount of emissions from recycling process was higher than the original fossil fuel stuff. That's a big one. And I'm starting to hear parents in my circle like, not sure how much longer we can keep buying Lego. That's a very small sample size, but I can see there being some pushback there. But it's the toy, isn't it? There's still so much demand. There's still so many franchising opportunities. It feels like the growth might settle off, but there's still going to be great dividends every year. Modest, acceptable ones. I would be. I would be buying and knowing that it would probably be a very reliable investment, but maybe not expecting anything nuts from it. On the digital team thing, I don't know about both of you, but I have certain organizations that I follow on quite closely on LinkedIn. Have like job alerts set up for, like dream jobs. There's a few brands, a lot of them are Scandinavian for me, and Lego seems to just be constantly on the hiring charge in Scandinavia, I'm sure, all globally, if you had alerts set up. So that definitely does seem to be playing out. That will be interesting to see where that goes. So I would be buying and holding for a while, I think.
I have the same sentiment. It's probably more on the hold side of things. My view is that, as you said, Tom, they're producing the toy. And despite all the changes that are coming with the digital and probably new toys with VR and AR and things like that, I think most parents still want their kids to grow up until a certain age before they give them the digital toys. And I think there's more and more parents who think like that. And that's where Lego can flourish, whether that's a plastic brick or maybe in the future a wooden brick. Let's see. But I still think it is here to stay, Lego, as a company. And I believe in its stability. I'm not so sure about like long-term growth, but definitely here to stay. So I would also if I would be one of the Kirks, I would keep my 75%. I would be thinking about selling, but also probably not about buying.
No investment advice, of course.
Educational purposes only.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we should have done this in the beginning, but
imagine someone paused there and tried to somehow join the family.
The Kirks.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, this time it's okay if it's in the end of this section because they can't buy, so the listeners can't buy the stock.
Yeah. Cool.
I think that's the part,
what
the episode.
What a company, what a story. Yeah. Made me want to get my hands on some Lego now. I know I started out as a bit of a, not for me anymore. I'm going to pop down to the Lego store at one lunchtime this week, I think, and see what's going on in there.
Yeah, we can show what we built in the next episode. Let's see what that one is about.
Indeed.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Franz. See you in the next one.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody. Bye.